Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a comic book review on the DC All-In Special #1. So for those of you guys who don't know how we even got to this point, don't worry, I will fill you in. So essentially, DC Comics has always tried to get a alternate universe of comic books going as ongoing series, very similar to Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics, did it first, obviously, with Ultimate Spider-Man, and later on that universe ended up getting canceled, only for it to get brought back in 2024. But DC never actually had a ultimate or alternate universe ever for their comic book series. You can kind of maybe count the DC Black Label books as that, but those are kind of like essentially not what they wanted as far as that. That is a completely different thing. Yeah, I'll say Future State, Earth One's probably the closest thing to that. But Earth Injustice. One, yeah, Injustice could be there too. But when it came to like Earth One, it didn't really do as well as they wanted. So a lot of people thought, you know what, it'll probably just never happen for DC. They'll probably never do a Marvel Comics Ultimate Universe of themselves. But come to find out, early in 2024, we started hearing rumors that DC Comics did actually want to start gearing up to do their own like Marvel Comics' Ultimate Universe. So later on in 2024, it was revealed that the writers would be Scott Snyder, Jason Aaron, and Kelly Thompson. And you also have Joshua Williamson heading the project as well. It would go from basically Dawn of DC to DC All In. So with DC All In, they made a bunch of the titles have the all-in, stamp on there, as they called it, like a jumping on point. Now, I will say this. If you are a person that wants to basically, get into comic books as far as like DC side of it and read them, even though they did a great idea with the jumping on points when it came to actually launching this initiative, that's not a bad idea. But I would still always say, make sure and go and read the issue ones through where you're actually going to start off at a jumping in point. Because even though they'll say things like, this book's a jumping on point, well, there's going to be things in that book that are referenced that no one even knows what the hell they're even referencing. Now, if you don't care about that, you could have used the DC comic books that were the jumping in on points anyway. But as I always say, that's always going to be a case-by-case basis when it comes to each person. So this book was also billed as one of the most important DC comic books basically in the last 5-6 years, because if you guys don't know this, there was a point in Dawn of DC where DC had no books in the top 10 bestsellers at all. There was a point where Dawn of DC, give or take, there was a few good titles here and there, was not selling very well. So that when they meant they were all in, they are all in. Now, the thing with creating a Marvel Comics' Ultimate Universe is most people are probably going to say, well, why can't you just do that in your main universe? Well, reasons for that are you already have so many ongoing series as it is, and then you're already bogged down with a lot of pre-existing lore and history, which isn't bad. A lot of those characters are very, very special, and they have their own place in history with all that lore, with a lot of great writers and artists throughout time. But it can be pretty daunting on a new writer and another new artist to kind of make something good out of what's already been good and existed. And probably that's been done 1,000 times before. So if you look at it from this point of view, if you do an absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, new fresh start, new lore gets to be established with the first people on the books, actually. That way, whatever they wanted to establish with those characters in that version, they get a chance to do so. And I do agree. You should be able to do this in your own main universe, but there is a benefit to it being separate, right? And they made it very clear that these are separate universes. So if you're a guy that wants to stick with DC Comics, that's been invested into paying for them for all these characters in that universe, you have that. And if you're someone that's new, you don't know where to start, you have this universe, which has the starting titles of Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. So I hope this works for DC. I really do, because they really put in a lot of effort with the creators that they've hired on to get this initiative going. But, we've talked about this before. This is a cheap marketing gimmick to get them a bunch of sales. Because guys, I factor in, if you had it the way they wanted to, which did happen. You had this as a number one, so this will sell because it's a number one. That'll automatically get you sales. All Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all gonna have new number ones. Will all sell out, and they have been. But
they're still in there. They're still in the top 50.
Very well.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Now the key thing is that the writing ever falls off, because we're gonna be going through all of these very, very soon. If the writing ever falls off, and if it falls off consistently for a very, very long time, well, that's a problem. The other books will start falling off in terms of action, comic book stores ordering them, you know? But as you guys know, I love DC. I really do. I tend to like them more than Marvel, but I love Marvel. Like, you know, I do love Marvel by myself, but DC's where home is at. And I just would not like DC to fail with this new initiative, you know?
Right.
And the last thing I'll say about that before I let you go is if you ever want to catch up on some of these new DC titles, just get the trade paperbacks. What a trade paperback is essentially, consider it like a manga volume. You get all the current 5 or 6 issues of a arc. You can read them all at once without grabbing the specific new issues. Because remember how they were headlining this as like, well, any book could be a jump on point. That's just a lie. You can't do that. Not every single book can be a jumping on point. There can't be. There's no way that's possible.
I mean, but that's how they have to market it. You know what I mean? They have to say that.
Yeah.
Instead, what they're trying to do is the thing is like the hardcores are always going to be there. Like like the DC, but they already know that I'm not me personally, but the guys like me are buying these books. Like I'm dumb.
You don't say.
Oh, give me my money.
Those are like, Marvel omnibuses back behind you.
No, they're not. There's a few. There's like some on that shelf, but all this is DC. But anyway, but they know they have to get people there casually. It's just the same thing as a movie. It's the same thing as a TV show. It's the same thing like when you watch a football game and they explain to you for the 9 millionth time what this penalty is or why this person is doing this, because they are always operating as if someone is seeing this for the first time. And that can be good and that can be bad. It could be good because people can see it and be like, okay, I'm interested. It could be bad.
The difference between football and this is football is a game where if you just kind of studied it on a basic level for about a couple of days, you could understand how it's played. With comic books, there is so much there with one character specifically that depending on where you jump on at, you could be basically out of the loop with whatever was currently going on that leads into where you're reading at now versus maybe like if you started from like the very beginning, which a lot of people aren't able to unless they're grabbing those Silver Age and Bronze Age omnibuses that DC was doing a while ago. But you know, a lot of people have said, well, just go get the older stuff. Guys, the older stuff, like, so people don't know, just like you have over there, there's DC omnibuses they made that were essentially the very first age of comic books. So that would be the Silver Age, Gold Age first. The reason why you don't get those omnibuses anymore, guys, is they don't sell. When people keep saying things like, well, just go and buy those older back issues, they don't sell. That's the reason why they stopped printing them in omnibus format. Now,
it's usually the first and the last. No. The first and the last one are usually in print, but like if you have anything that's like 1 to 13, 1 and 13 you'll be able to buy for relatively normal, but anything in between there, good luck. Good fucking luck.
Why do you guys think they're printing it in the DC's Finest collection, which are essentially just big giant compendiums, which are just cheaper? Because that's a much easier, more affordable way to get people to get on, you know, people reading DC Comics. And remember, I also think the All In initiative was good for that too, because the compact comics are also the same similar way, jumping on points with a completed story, similar with Finest. You just jump on at a certain point, and it's just a point where it's a lot of people's favorite moments. Different from Marvel. Marvel did it from Volume 1s, which I don't particularly hate the idea that DC's doing, but you know, I do think a starting point is always very good for people that want to begin at the very beginning of something.
It's the same thing they did with the Lobo Compendium. This is the freaking 1,200 page book. The reason why they made this is because the other one didn't sell. And it's, you know, it was out for so long. This is mostly Bisley stuff. Bisley hasn't done anything since like 1996. So it's like
fragging special. God damn.
So I mean, like it's one of those type of things, and it's very true. The way I look at it, and I made a video on my channel, like how to get back into comics, like how to do it, because I was doing it at that time because I had taken a break from them for a while. But the main thing is if you're already interested in comics, you kind of know characters from media, like whether it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You find something and you just pick it up, right?
Yeah.
You have to use the internet. Like the internet's a great tool to find out things like that. But if you're gonna do All In, right? you definitely have to somehow read the All In special, because as much as they want to say you could just pick up Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, you can, but these universes are going to cross. They are going to cross.
At some point they will.
It tells you in this that they have to. There's no other way. So if you're going to be like, well, how did this happen? You know, when you get to that point, or why is it, what is this? Who's Darkseid? What is this? I don't know what the hell they're talking about. That doesn't give you a very broad scope of understanding when it finally does get to that point, because as we've seen in comics lately, whenever I was younger, they could do a whole arc for like 2 years. It doesn't last that long anymore because, like you said, sales. And just like how we were talking, if writing falls off, this is just my opinion, but I think it was number 3 or 4 of Absolute Superman. I read it and I went, this is cool, but this is not like the first 2. And this could be a problem because they went very story, like nothing, just explanation after explanation. Well, that's good for people like, right. Well, that's good for like people like me who already know all that other shit and are comparing it to what happened to Krypton before. The layman person doesn't give a shit about the science community on Krypton.
Yeah, the only benefit of that is that it's the beginning of that, so you can kind of
get away with it
without any backstory on like Superman from the main universe. The thing that I thought was disingenuous, and I know they weren't doing it bad. I know Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson aren't bad guys. And I know that's basically what DC executives are telling him, hey, sell this as much as you can. The reason why every book can't be a jumping on point, guys, is because it's just in the numbering. So average people that like read manga more now, they start from volume 1. If I tell you, hey, just pretend this is, because you know they advertised that Joshua Williamson Superman run currently with that was on issue number 19 when this was released. So they tell you in this, grab like Superman issue number 19 with Joshua Williamson writing it, right? Okay, so
you can't.
Do you? Okay, I'll just explain because I know a lot of you guys watch TV out there for a long time. Jump into a TV show, season 1, and watch episode 19.
Now
you would know what the fuck was going on. Honestly,
so there are times where that happens, right? But I end up going, I have to see what came before.
Yeah, that's the thing. So to be fair, the jumping on point could be a good thing because it'll intrigue. Like, oh damn, this is pretty fun, cool. I want to go back and see what happened before. So we're gonna go through this now. I will be very much the same mindset I had when we reviewed the Absolute Power hardcover. So, okay, so as you guys know, we did Ultimate Invasion trade paperback. We did the Ultimate Universe number 1 shot, very similar to what we did with DC. Absolute Power hardcover into this. These are pretty much like this for me. On some days when I was thinking about it, Marvel's is better. Then some of those thinking about DC's is better. I don't know. I'll probably just have them at even. DC went with full, straight up Michael Bay. This shit is just, stuff is happening so fast. You're like, this is great. Holy shit. Now there's Booster Gold. Where the fuck was he at in Absolute Power? Oh shit, Darkseid's here. Holy fuck. What was he doing? Just smoking a doobie when Amanda Waller took over the Earth? We're just going crazy at this point. Now, do I like it? I absolutely love it. It's very, very fun. It's very entertaining. But in terms of like storytelling, it can be kind of not jarring. It's just really, or not even rushed. It's just kind of not very paced very well. Like it's paced very good when the action comes through. The action is great, honestly. But as far as like the writing goes, it can be very wonky and very lopsided towards one character getting all the growth, then the other characters are just kind of on the sideline. Like you said earlier, when we get into it, I love the first part of the book. It's actually really, really good. The first part of the book is great, fantastic, honestly. But it does still fall into the same thing I said about Absolute Power, the hardcover we reviewed last week, which is one-sided character development. Booster Gold gets all the character development, all of it throughout the book. He's like the heart of the first part of the story. Whereas other characters you probably know more and like more. I like Booster Gold. I think it's a cool character. But why is everyone else always on a back burner? You know? But that's the problem with the initiative, with the Justice League we talked about last week. Remember? If we have all these characters in a Justice League, right? Where everyone gets to be a Justice League member, well, then what makes being a member of the Justice League special then? You know what I mean?
Well, I think so. I think the reason why, and you might think differently. Like I've said a million times, DC revolves around the Trinity. It always will. It always has. Showing someone like Booster Gold, who is not as well known, but people do know him for the wrong reasons, to show him in a redeemed fashion and to show him finally he's at a point, right, where he's taking things seriously. And what happens to him could only happen to him because he knows the future. He knows what is supposed to happen, what is supposed to be in place. He might not know A, B, C, D, E, F, but he knows A and F. And to have him be the person that you experience this through, knowing that he has his little robot with him, Skeets, that could tell him like, hey, this is not what's no other character could do that. No other character.
I'm a prophet.
No other character could do that, right? So I thought they picked the right character for that to happen. Mm-hmm. But the problem that I had was they put in little things like characters not acting like Darkseid is not acting the way that Darkseid acts. Okay. They had to put in something like, what is this thing that I felt? Oh, and they bring it up like why the earth is reeling right now. It's literally been your whole objective in life to destroy Earth. They have no powers. You could go down there in 2 seconds, wipe it out, and then go back to doing what you're doing. But no, I'm feeling this feeling and I must go to it. It's like, dude, pregnant. Like literally 70 years of storytelling down the fucking drain just because you had a feeling. Like, come on, man. Like, those are the things that I personally didn't like. I hate those little freaking oxymoron things that they do that are like, we're just going to plant this right there. Because they had to bring up absolute power. They had to. Because people would probably see Darkseid and go, why didn't Darkseid come down and say, hey, Amanda Waller, I appreciate all that you've done.
So if they write that he was in his head fucked up with Spectre, that could be a thing where, you know, he wouldn't want to interact. That's the reason
why he didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he would have just come down there, like, with all the superheroes depowered and totally, he could have anti-lifed all of them.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's what it is. That's what he does.
Darkseid's insane. He's actually a really powerful villain. Like, I know he's changed throughout the years, but that Darkseid, did you guys remember that was really, really strong? Yeah, think about that guy, except 10 times stronger now at this point.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing I did like that they explained in this, that since Darkseid is a constant, there's times where Darkseid is more powerful. There's times where Darkseid is weaker. Like, that was a great explanation.
Right.
But for him not to go down there, or with Calabec and everybody there, they could have just said, all right, Darkseid. They wouldn't have been like, Father, we're coming with you. They're always at odds with him. Like, you know, they try to please him 100%. But they would have been like, all right. What's that?
Where's Steppenwolf?
He was there.
Was he there? Okay, good.
Yeah,
I thought I saw him. I was just questioning myself.
In the comics, he looks just like a person.
Okay.
He's just a guy with these. He was the guy with the mustache that was like, this is a good plan or whatever. And he's got like the horn helmet.
Yeah. I didn't want to say the wrong person's name because you're not confident. Like, you said the wrong name. I knew he was there. I was just questioning myself. I was like, he should be another central figure too if he's this connected to Darkseid, you know?
Yeah, it's more like they took in. That's another thing that they did wrong for that movie. Like, it should have
among many other things.
Yeah, it like him being
among
like
existing, I would say.
Dude, Wonder Woman would kick the shit out of him, right? They just made him like powerful for that movie because they didn't want to give away Darkseid. They had to give you Darkseid, but not give him to you through the whole movie. Like, Steppenwolf is just another, you know, he's powerful, but he's just another minion.
So this is what I wanted to ask you, because this was the common sentiment among the reviews that I was reading for this book a long time ago when it dropped, before they dropped Absolute Batman. Does this book move the needle for you as far as a change from Dawn of DC? Because this is supposed to be basically another big change from Dawn of DC to this initiative, right? But when you're reading this, it doesn't feel like anything really changed, honestly. It was more of a continuation of what you already got.
Okay, so it does for me because there was no Justice League. And they were so adamant about people who shouldn't have had the ball in their hands having the ball in their hands. This
Mhm.
was Superman is taking control, Batman is taking control, and this is what we're doing. We're letting you in on this because we need help because of what happened, but we're in control.
Yeah.
Like,
You know
so
what's crazy?
it did in that sense, but I
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from. If you went
Yeah.
from just reading that to this, I could totally understand why you don't
Yeah.
feel that and why it just feels like you read Absolute Power where all of them were in there. But if you were reading Dawn of DC through the whole thing, it is a massive change.
The other thing I wanted to bring up with a lot of people is when you're going from Absolute Power to this, I will say this. There is this sense of like they're trying to have unity again, But that's the thing is they highlight in Absolute Power toward the end of it and in this book how important the Justice League really is. Why ever get rid of it then? These guys are old, in this continuity. They are older. They're like in their 30s, 40s, 50s. They know the power of friendship, the power of unity. Why ever get rid of the Justice League then?
They did it. Well, they got rid of it at the end of
Dark Crisis, right?
Of Dark Crisis.
Yeah.
So like this is them getting back together. So
Yeah.
like it just they should have. It was a good thing and a bad thing. It was a good thing to accent newer books and newer heroes, but they did it in the wrong way. They did the Titans. They should have formed a new team with like Dick Grayson and like other people. Like I'm just saying.
What are
imagine
we, some kind of
this
Suicide Squad?
Well, hold on. Imagine this. Oh Jesus! Imagine this, right? If it wasn't like Deathstroke, imagine Darkseid comes down, right? Comes to Earth. He's loaded for bear. He's got everybody. And your defense is the fucking Titans. What's Beast Boy gonna do?
Hey,
turn into a cat?
No, he's gonna turn into a woman and spread his ass and get fisted by Darkseid.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't take that threat seriously, though.
Right.
I mean, you take the threat seriously. You don't take the defense of that threat seriously as the Titans. They didn't take anybody and elevate them except for Dick Grayson. That's the only one that they did. And guess what they did? Where the fuck was Dick Grayson in this?
Because that's the thing is they built this as a very important book you had to read, very similar to the Captain Marvel movie that dropped in 2019. Kevin Feige was like, this is very integral before you watch Endgame, which reality it wasn't. They just wanted to use that as a marketing gimmick to make that movie make $1 billion. That movie was absolute trash. This kind of built the same way. They said you basically had to read this in order to basically get where the universe is going. Now, there are some better elements to reading this and obviously watching Captain Marvel because that had no bearing on Endgame. This did have a bearing on the absolute universe, being created. It's just the first half is so much better than the second half. It's not even close, really.
I think the first half is better because it's more of what we're used to as comic fans. I thought the second half story of Darkseid was told great, my opinion.
Yeah,
but the art, man, like when you're looking at something that you don't want to look at.
Oh, yeah.
It makes a dramatic
I'm not even saying I even hate the story of the second part. I just think the art, like you said, is what just threw me off. Like, whoa, I went from like Dan Mora, fucking, who's the artist in this? Danielle Sampere. Oh, great. Good job.
Great.
And then it's just like, I don't really like this art style as much. It's just weird.
There's like a couple panels that look good. Like the first panel you see, I was like, okay, that's kind of
Omega half right there. So it went from this
it's just not
style.
Good.
But
it just doesn't look good.
Look at that, and then you look at something like, something like this.
Yeah,
that's different than that. Yeah, it's pretty big right there.
It was very blocky and liney, and like I feel
like you were trying to capture 60s, 70s art style with that artist. I forgot that artist's name. I feel like he was trying to capture that feeling, but there's a reason why technologies move past that point. We can make
and I get it that he was transcending through time and space.
Wes Craig, yes.
But Wes Craig is I have very rarely liked anything that he does. I and that's just my opinion. And story should usually, if the story is good enough, it should transcend the art. But we are in a visual medium. Like, come on, guys.
I will say that with the Justice League reforming again, having Superman as the heart of it with Batman and Wonder Woman next to his side and Mr. Terrific being there is really cool. But The other thing that'll come onto this is, how do you feel about the aspect that anyone could be a Justice League member?
Well, I don't know if it's anyone. I think it's just the people that they picked. I think that what they're trying to capitalize on is the cartoon show. The
Yeah, it
show
has to
was
be. Yeah.
Justice League Unlimited, and it was very, very popular. And they're trying to tell you that the threat coming with Darkseid having nothing in his way, a whole universe formed from Darkseid himself, because that was the thing. The universe that we're in, he's the force that opposes the good. Now he has a whole universe that is formed by him. There's nothing to oppose him. Even the heroes that, like Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, they are not opposing him. They're opposing his force that has created that universe. So when that conflicts with our universe, it's going to need everybody. It can't just be done by the regular Justice League. That is what they're trying to tell you by everybody could be a member. It's more like the threat that's coming is going to need everybody in the DC universe. Now, where it goes with Monster of the Week stories, I don't really want to see the Question team up with Golden Bullet and them go on a fucking joyride. I don't want to see that. I want to see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the Flash do stuff. That's what I want to see. So I'm excited for the massive story that they're going to tell. But
I like how in that one part of the first half,
part
in the first half, gosh, man, oh Lord, DC, why are you doing this to me? In the first half, like, there's a little comic book panel where they try to build up the Question. It's like, but is anybody really going to be that interested in reading the Question's new ongoing series? I'm not saying it's a bad character, but like, I wouldn't be buying those books. Like, there's Black Lightning. Did you buy the Black Lightning?
No.
New one so far? Okay, good. I did. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just wait till trade to get this. You know. I stopped buying an issue like 3 or some shit like that.
I will, like, I'll probably buy the trade. Most of the time I go back, and whenever like there's initiative like this, like Dawn of DC, I bought most of the trades that are out. I'll end up buying it and reading because I'd like to complete things, you know. But as ongoing, no, I'm not gonna read it ongoing until it's done.
So if you guys were around this time period with DC All In, basically the jumping on books were Batman issue number 153, Birds of Prey issue number 14, Poison Ivy issue number 26, Batman and Robin issue number 14, Action Comics issue 1070, Shazam issue number 16, Green Lantern Civil Corps special number 1, Catwoman issue number 69, Green Lantern issue number 16, Nightwing issue 119, Detective Comics issue number 1090, Power Girl issue number 14, Superman issue number 19, The Flash issue number 14, Green Arrow issue number 350, holy fucking Christ, Wonder Woman issue number 14, Harley Quinn issue number 14. And the other thing I'll bring up with all of that is, it's like, all those are jumping on points, but what's a jumping off point? Which is when the bad writing comes in. I'm kidding.
No, that's definitely a point though, because who the fuck is buying Harley Quinn number 14?
Who buys Poison Ivy? Who buys Poison Ivy books?
Why does she have 12 books? What could you possibly be telling?
I don't know. Like, that's why I would say to people, why do you buy? Who buys Harley Quinn books? That has to be, you got to be trolling somewhere.
They should, dude. I've always thought that they should have like your main like 10 books, right? And then have like 2 ongoing books like DC World or whatever, and then you use the heroes that aren't being used and face the villains that aren't, you know, what's going on in the world of DC besides these main 10 books. Because if you have like good creators and good content, they're gonna sell. Like, just because you have 100 books a month doesn't mean that they're going to sell. Like, have you ever seen Poison Ivy in the top 50?
Hell yeah, I have. Never.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and people think like Harley Quinn is super popular because people like Margot Robbie, but like, is any of her books sell?
Never.
That's what I mean. Like, so as much as she was a great character in the Batman animated series, and they decided to turn her into a comic book character, which was really cool. but
Mhm.
I don't go out and buy those books. Like I'm not
Yeah.
interested in
Same thing happens with Miles
the
Morales. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I love Miles Morales." No, you like Miles Morales from the movies and the video
Mhm,
and the Insomniac video games. You don't like him from the comic books. You guys weren't
mhm.
buying or reading those. No one could even tell you a storyline they like out of Miles Morales because they don't. It's it's that performative bullshit. I like Miles. No, you don't. You like that version of him. You don't like the comic version of him. You fucking poser. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
and you could tell because people get so mad
They
when
can't even tell
people come
you a
out.
yeah.
No, when they go out and they say Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Hoo-wee.
Yeah, you use name me a storyline you like from Miles Morales comic books. Oh, you Spider-Man. Oh, fuck off. Just straight up fuck off.
That's why every Miles Morales book is Miles
Always in
Morales
the top.
Spider-Man. Miles
Yeah.
Morales Spider-Man. It's
Well,
not
you were talking
just
about
Spider-Man.
sales, right? You were talking
Yeah.
about sales. Miles Morales comic books sell in the tens, probably.
So it's like, I'll say this. The comic book shop that I go to is pretty big, right?
Just like my wife's vagina.
Sure. The only Miles Morales book that I ever saw there was the Miles Morales as books, like when they were trying to like make him like Deadpool and Thor
Yeah.
and Wolverine and stuff. I saw those there, and I asked the guy because he had on a
Yeah.
Spider-Verse t-shirt,
Okay.
and I said, "Do you like Miles Morales?" And he went, "Well," and I went, "Nope, you don't. You like the movies. Got it." And he went, "No, that's not." I was like, who has come in here and bought Miles Morales as Thor? And he went, nobody. And I went, there you go. That's
Yeah.
fine. I have the Spider-Verse movies in
He has
4K.
no
I like
prominent
them.
storylines. No, Miles Morales has no prominent storylines that people know in their heads.
Well,
You know that Ultimate Spider-Man died to get him
Right.
to be Spider. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
But that comes from Peter. That comes from Peter dying.
And that was the crossing over was the best
Yeah.
issues of his. That's
Yeah.
the sad
Oh,
part.
another thing that I could mention when you had all these issues as jumping on points, they did do something very good with this initiative that I will praise them for. All the fans for years kept saying, okay, if you're gonna reboot, cool. But could you just like not could you just like maybe like not reboot anymore? They said if you're gonna do a new initiative, don't reboot because when Marvel and DC do that, or most DC, that means that people feel like what they invested into as far as money, they feel like it's worthless. It doesn't matter. The stories don't count anymore.
The continuity doesn't matter anymore.
So from Dawn of DC to DC All In Initiative, they didn't reboot. I thought that was actually finally. It only took
basically from Rebirth, it's been the same.
Yeah, only took fucking what 80, 50 to 80 years to ask hey, don't reboot.
Yeah,
just discontinue it. It's fine.
And
what they did was cool was they changed teams. As I always said this, hey, if a series is going not good, change the team. Literally, they changed all the teams for the books, which is good, except for some of them, like Chip Zdarsky was still on Batman, but you get my point.
That makes a big dramatic impact because I'll say the teams, and I've said this for as long as I've been on your show, like the artist and writer have to match, right? Because I've said this, and I'll use an example. If you read Hush, right? And Jim Lee wasn't the artist and it was Wes Craig, do you think that book would matter? I don't.
Now, what if Gail Simone wrote it?
Okay.
She wasn't writing. She was probably eating the
cupcakes. But what I'm saying is, do you see what I'm saying? Like the art is just as it makes a lot of that atmosphere that the guy is writing. When you pick up, especially on something like Batman or Superman, like when you end up reading Secret Origin, the Jeff Johns Superman, you're gonna like it because they made sure to make sure Superman, they wanted to base it off of the Christopher Reeve Superman, the make him look like that, the Superman that everybody knows, and when Jeff Johns wrote it, he was very faithful to the actual continuity and history of Superman. And they went from there. They changed some few things that have been changed, but the story itself was there and it was the same. And Gary Frank's art is incredible. Like the dude is phenomenal. So I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that was just my thing when it came to the All In Initiative. Not a reboot from Dawn of DC. What you invested into matters. Let's just say that. And then you swap creative teams. Now, to be fair, Chip Zdarsky is getting swapped out later on, but a lot of these books, they had swapping out of creative teams, and I think that's always a good thing. I think after maybe give or take sales of some books, 2 years is a good enough time for a writer and an artist to tell the story they wanted to tell. You know,
Well, yeah,
maybe
it
less,
depends.
give or take. If
It depends.
the book's selling
Yes.
and it's doing really, really well, keep them on. But if it ever starts like faltering, I never understood that. Why do they feel like they have to be strapped into a terrible story for years on end with a terrible writer? You don't. We know this works. Guys, these companies make the contracts. They are definitely in their favor. You can get, there's Marvel and DC should have no problem getting good writers at all. It's just Marvel and DC we're talking here. People are lining up at the door to still work for them. They should have no problems getting good writers for any top characters. Batman, Superman should never have bad writers on anything. It's Batman and fucking Superman here. You know, they should never have anything, anybody less than B tier on title. But let's go through the DC All In #1 special. So essentially, long story short, because I pretty much remember that this mostly throughout the entire thing. Booster Gold is the heart of the story. Superman, after absolute power, is trying to rebuild the Justice League, basically offering a Justice League membership to anyone that will accept it. You had, obviously, there's, is that Red Arrow? Yeah, it's Red Arrow, the guy from Doom Patrol. You had Supergirl. You had, what's Damian Wayne, Fire and Ice. Superman, you're too kind. They wouldn't even be on my mind.
The big thing is the story hinges on these cards that they're made, and they're infused with all the tech, Wayne tech, you know, Oliver Queen tech, terrific tech, and they were put together by John Stewart with his Green Lantern power, and then they were blessed by all the freaking, you know, Wonder Woman and all those type of people. So these cards can accentuate your powers, and they could also team you up with people that basically your powers work better or well with. So it's like, that's a cool thing. Like, that's
cool.
neat.
I like it. Let's go do it.
That's neat. So we can get some really cool teams out of it, or they want to make you think like, you know, Green Arrow works really good with Green Lantern. And
they did that. They
Booster
did the
Gold
works
really well with Blue Beetle Ted Kord. So like, those things are there.
Yeah, they had and just to go off that point, they had a Green Lantern, Green Arrow World's Finest special with art by Dan Mora, which may or may not look really, really good, and I bought it that week, hypothetically speaking. But Booster Gold
looked awesome.
Booster Gold as the heart of the story. Booster Gold basically, you know, still at some point feels like he doesn't belong with them. He has the robot character he talks to named Skeets, obviously. Superman approaches Booster Gold to tell him, hey, you can be in the Justice League now, and he gives him his own card and everything. Then obviously, and there's so many ads in this book, man. So many goddamn ads.
And that's the big thing. So like, the Booster Gold, it was always a character that tried to profit. He came from the future, and he was basically a nobody, and he profited off of knowing the future. And that's him and Skeets. They would do like superheroing, but they would charge people money, and they would do all sorts of stuff like that. But he's at the point now where he's a real hero. He does things for the sake of heroing. And Superman is like, I've been watching you, and you know, you are a real hero, and we want you here. And when he gets the card, that's when he's like, this is it. He was like, this right here is a moment in history, and that's where the card is very special.
So, as you guys know from the ending of the DC's Absolute Power hardcover that we reviewed in the channel, at the end of the book, Batman had the hologram of the newly formed Justice League Watchtower. It's the inauguration day for them, so they go in to all have the big meeting.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about this real quick. So when he talks about the card, he tells Superman that he remembers this. He was like, I was a janitor at this museum, and this card, I remember it was a blank card, but it was a moment in history. It was very special. So he's telling you that this is supposed to happen. This thing right here is supposed to happen. This is a moment in history. This is very special. And he's like, just like my Legionnaire ring, it's a fixed moment in time. So like, that is very crucial to what is going to happen coming up here. So yeah, so they have a meeting. There you go.
Yeah, and This is my favorite page spread in the entire book. This is
It's fantastic.
Looks amazing. Look at all these fucking heroes. You got Dr. Fate, Damian Wayne, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Shazam, my boy
Donna Troy.
Fuck you. My boy Shazam is never getting any love in these crossovers. It's okay. It's okay, Shazam. Flash is here, Cyborg, Aquaman, Nightwing,
Dude,
Hot Girl.
Swamp Thing is there. That's crazy.
Swamp Thing is there. That's a pretty cool cameo right there. That's cool. Yeah.
That's
all of this looks great.
He usually never leaves the green, so it's like really cool that he's there. And he's very powerful.
I really feel like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and Miss Terrific really put on a great presentation of what they want everyone to know. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of cheesy, but I love when heroes do that kind of stuff. You know, I'm always a sucker for that stuff.
100%.
I love when there's a feeling of unity together because, you know, every story now and every movie with superheroes, we got to break the team up. We got to all be sad and depressed every day.
and having like the main trinity acknowledge these other heroes, it doesn't bring them up to their level, but it brings them up to a level where you're like, they matter. This is important. What is happening here is important.
And then after that, as you guys know, with anything superhero related, and I mean literally anything, villains always have to kind of ruin the party. Darkseid starts
goes off
coming
the rails.
And this DC All-In Special #1 book cannot stop the ads. There's ads for everything, every book that came out during this time period. So then, what's crazy? Right after Darkseid starts attacking them, and you have to turn the book upside down to read the previous dialogue. That's why I criticize Deadpool Wolverine, WWE3 when me and Professor Savage have reviewed that book. I do not like when books have you turn them over. That's just really, really, really stupid. But with this one,
I get it for the Zatanna thing. I get it for that, but like, so like Darkseid like is coming through, but he's not like physically there. And all the heroes, all of them start like Swamp Thing has Omega beams coming out of his head. So does Zatanna, and all of this stuff is happening, and there's rips in time from different places in the DC universe. Looks great. Really cool.
And you know what happened after that, guys? Another ad. No kidding. It was literally a page. Literally right here. Look at this.
Just one page ad and then one page ad.
Bruh.
And I think one of the coolest
critically acclaimed writer, Tom King.
Oh, good Lord. And I thought we got one of the coolest panels right after that with Darkseid.
Oh, this.
Show him. Yes, Darkseid has the cloak of the Spectre, and he's got one arm and the other hand is an axe. That is badass. He looks great. Awesome.
Looked awesome. They all start fighting together, but at this point, okay, so this is where the book gets kind of a little confusing. So Spectre is infused with Darkseid. Actually.
No, Darkseid took over the Spectre. He took him out of Jim Corrigan, and the Spectre doesn't have to bond with anybody that he doesn't want to. So the fact that he is bonded with Darkseid, either he wanted to or somehow was forced to, and you should be wondering, like, what in the fuck is happening right now?
Because that is very dangerous. If you guys don't know how powerful Spectre is, you need to brush up on how strong the character is.
He's literally the hand of God. He is. In the DC universe, he's the hand of God. He enacts God's vengeance.
They do end up defeating this Darkseid, but then this card that was here, I'm pretty sure you could explain this better than me, because one of the characters go, is Darkseid dead? Did he thank us? There was this card that was left there, and then the antimatter starts forming this ripple right there.
Right. So while they're fighting, Mr. Terrific is using his T-spheres because Darkseid is like physically there and then he's not. And then he's there and he's not. So Booster Gold looks over at the card because when he went to the meeting, he was like, they said, you know, we gave these cards out, but we're leaving this one blank. And this one is for the next hero. We always have one blank. And he's like, there it is. And when he looks over at the card, he's like, Skeets, this isn't supposed to happen. This is very bad. And Skeets explains to him, yes, this is not just a rip in time. This is this is bad. Very, very bad. This is not supposed to happen whatsoever. And like, I can't remember what he called it. It's like a whole time breakdown, basically. And they end up defeating Darkseid. And Darkseid says, thank you. But he also says Darkseid ends. And if you know anything about DC, Darkseid, you can kill him, but he's going to come back. He has to come back. He
immortal.
is a constant. He's immortal, but it's more like he's a constant in the universe. So like when you have multiverses and say they had the 52 Earths, there was only one Darkseid. There was not another version of him somewhere else on those in the omniverse, in the metaverse, in the everyverse, right? There's only one Darkseid. Now, pieces of him, or as I say, like malevolence, can be in those universes, and that's the force that the superheroes oppose. And that was kind of explained later in this book. But as he dies, there's a rift, and you could see these two universes when Darkseid's kind of like dying and he says Darkseid ends, you could see these two Earths separating. And it's one is red and one is blue. And so whatever that rift did and whatever Darkseid did, whatever they killed him, it created another universe.
And then you have Orion, which is Darkseid's son, right?
Yeah.
He tells Superman and Batman and Mr. Terrific that there is a new universe being created. Now, you're probably thinking that's the absolute universe, which you are right. That is being created. But then Booster Gold, he's like, hey, I'll go into that portal and look. They say you got about 10 minutes to be in there. What is Chris? Why'd you do this, DC? You're cruel. You took Skeets from him. How dare you? You took his boy.
Yeah. Well, he needed to go in there because he's the only time traveler that they have. Yeah. And if other people were to go in there, they wouldn't have the tachyon particles. They wouldn't have the bullshit that they need, basically.
So
yeah.
Booster Gold gets in there, and he ends up getting stuck as the book kind of fades into the Omega part. So that was the Alpha part. Now we're going to go to the Omega part, and he says, I found Darkseid. And then that's where it ends, and it does that fucking flip bullshit.
Well, first, what happens is he goes in there, and he's like, no. And he looks at a building, and it's the Daily Planet, but it has the Darkseid Omega symbol on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell? And they're like, what happened? He lost contact. Now, Skeets had a temporal thing on him where if he needed to get back, he could have gotten back. But Skeets is no longer with him. They are separated. Mm-hmm. And when the Justice League, they're looking at the screen, they're like, we shouldn't have let him go in alone. And all of a sudden, there's Omega beams following Booster Gold. And as Booster Gold's running away, you see the outline of Darkseid, and he's got an Omega Legionnaire ring, which is important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And while they're looking at the screen, you see this little temporal shift. And they were like, we got to get Booster. If he's lost, then we'll have to get him out. Then all of a sudden, time shifts, and it goes back to before Booster Gold went into the rift for our heroes. And they say, we are gathering, we're going there, right? And he's like, I'd advise against that. He's like, let's talk. There must be a way. Whenever that panel first happened, that's when Booster Gold was like, hey, I'll go in there. I can do this. So they don't even know that Booster Gold is there now. They have no idea.
Yeah.
Because time shifted. And Darkseid says he finally has his army. And you see, he says, we are, Legion. And you see, and he has got a shit ton of villains throughout DC's history. And they are all dressed in, they got the Omega symbol on them. And it's a pretty awesome panel right there.
And
so that's a lot
to my criticism with where the book goes into the Omega part. So I thought the Alpha part was pretty good, well put together, issues here and there, but overall fine. Then you get to the point where it goes Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. Now you're probably thinking, oh, they'll just give you some previews of the upcoming issues, right? No, that's just not happening. That was, I feel like, kind of misleading because this was billed as like, hey, we'll give you previews of Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, but there's no previews in here. It's just a preview of an ad with dialogue right there.
Yeah. Well, the last 3 pages, they have 1 page with each character on it.
Yeah.
And it's not a preview. It's really
not a preview at all.
But basically, this story here is what was Darkseid doing during the Absolute Power. We're seeing what was Darkseid doing to where it led up to him appearing to the Justice League at the moment they were doing their presentation in the new Watchtower. So that's what we're seeing right here.
Yeah. And this is the Omega part. So essentially he's like struggling with his place in the universe.
Yeah.
He's battling with the Spectre being a part of him. He's basically in the Omega part, for being completely honest here, he's just inner monologuing to himself as the other villains that follow him surround him. And one of the villains that is a part of his group is like, hey, I brought you something even more powerful than your parademons, actually.
Yeah. So he's like building a machine, right?
Mhm.
And we don't know why he's building a machine, but he's struggling with figuring out what he is to the universe. And he wants more than what he always is, because he always looking for the anti-life equation. He's gotten it. He's used it. He's still seeking it. He's doing all this stuff. So he's building this machine, and it needs lifeblood. So that's why whenever we saw him, he had one arm. So he cuts off one of his arms and bleeds into the machine. And that's when Calabec comes to him, tells him what he just told us. I got new things for you. They're stronger than parademons. They're paradevils. And you're just like, who gives a shit?
The other thing I want to point out before you go is this is where the Omega part loses me. I get the universe is formed that way. So Flash and Absolute Power cut the multiverse. He stopped it. But then now they're utilizing the multiverse again to...
No. It's being created because of what Darkseid is doing. It's not the multiverse as you know it. It's only one other universe.
A new multiverse getting created, essentially.
Yes, multi is in 2. There's only 2. So
oh god, no, there are 2 multiverse. You know what's crazy?
No. Just 2 universes. Just 2 universes, not 2
I was making a joke.
Just 2 universes. Yeah. They've already done the omniverse and it failed.
It's just so weird. Why take out the multiverse if you know you're going to use it as a plot device for another
because it's
story.
Not the same one. That's the main reason. So like when they have their multiverse, they have established things like Earth 3 is where the like Forever Evil that took place, where it's like Ultraman and the Crime Syndicate. They have all of those things already set up and they've been there for a long time. This is completely new, has nothing to do with their already established multiverse. This is just a brand new universe. And so this is where I kind of thought that they just put in like this little MacGuffin. So if you turn the page from where Calabec is telling him I got those paradevils, so you see where they're all on the steps.
Yeah,
walking up there. So you see the guy that says now is the time. That's Steppenwolf. That's him.
Okay, gotcha.
That's Steppenwolf. So they're saying like this is the right time to go to Earth and destroy it, because that's literally been your whole reason for being. And they're saying like the heroes are depowered, and you know, like, so that's what's happening in Absolute Power.
Yeah,
that's what was going on. So
that's
essentially where it is in time.
The multiverse that we remember, that's gone. This is a newly formed universe.
Yes,
and basically a different dimension, right? I would assume so. Yeah, has to be.
It's where that rift is in time.
But you know, at some point they're gonna have that other multiverse that they got rid of come and interact. Oh my god, it's about to be another omniverse coming.
I hope it doesn't. I hope it does not. Maybe at the end, it somehow does. Maybe that's the MacGuffin that they use to destroy the Darkseid universe. It's easy if you just say this. The multiverse is with like the Crime Syndicate and all them. We call that the multiverse, right? And we call ours the Earth whatever, Earth Zero, Earth Prime. We'll call that Universe Prime, and we'll call this the Darkseid universe. That makes more sense to me since it was created from Darkseid. It's literally, if Darkseid wasn't just himself and all the malevolence, all the hatred went into building a universe. That's what that is. So it's like, so like Calabec's like, what do you think of that? I got these paradevils and we're going to go there and kick their ass. What do you say to that? And he's like, I say no. Darkseid's like, no, I don't care about this anymore. And they're just like, what the hell happened to you, man? Like, what is going on with you? He's like, I'm your, they had to throw this in. He's like, I'm your blood. That's who we are, your blood. And he's like, you are my blood. And I need blood for this fucking machine.
As if, and Steppenwolf was great. As if Darkseid gives a fuck about his family. as he
Yeah.
even cares. Why do
Right.
why do any villains do that? They know that there's a villain that they have to listen to as far as a hierarchy. Yeah, I'm gonna appeal to your emotion, as if Darkseid gives any fucks about family as he tries
Yeah.
to destroy the
It's
universe.
it's I mean, like I mean, he basically gave up his
Mhm.
first son to the Allfather so they would have peace. That's like what it took. And he was just like,
Mhm.
sure, take this kid and I'll take this kid and I'm just
Yep.
gonna lock him up. And that's how Mr. Miracle became like the greatest, break-in artist of all time, because he was locked in the freaking dungeons of Apocalypse for years. And he learned how to break locks, and that's how he became Mr. Miracle.
Oh, Lord. So I'll ask you as we're closing thoughts on the book, because at the end of the book, obviously, Darkseid cuts his hand off, and that hand drops into that machine that he's working on. This man is insane.
So
Darkseid's insane, people. This guy's mentally deranged.
So basically, like he goes around to all these massively strong villains, right?
Mhm.
And he goes to the dark side of the moon and he talks to Eclipso and blows that up with a mother box. He's trying to find out what that energy that he felt was. There was a energy that happened. It made him build this machine. He did all this stuff and he's trying to figure it out. So he's trying to look for the Spectre because he figures the Spectre would be able to tell him what this is and what his place in the universe is. And that's when he finds Jim Corrigan. He's locked up and he tries to take the Spectre from him, right? And the Quintessence, which is like the strongest universal beings in the DC universe, minus the Presence and a few others. It's like, the freaking Guardian from the Green Lantern and stuff, and they try to stop him from bonding with the Spectre.
Yeah,
And
because they tell him it's very dangerous. Yeah.
yes. So he takes the Spectre and he gets it and he's like, it's done. He's like, stop resisting and tell me the truth. What was that surge that I felt? And that's where they kind of explain what's going on. And while they're explaining that, that's why that fight with Darkseid from the Justice League point of view was so weird, that he was coming in and out. So they show that from Darkseid's point of view, where he sees all the heroes coming after him and they're fighting. And that's why it was like, whenever they said, did he thank us? And like, and Mr. Terrific's using his T-spheres to look at him, because he's popping in and out, like to their vision. He's popping in and out. From what he sees, though, is he's talking to the Spectre. And he's like, look around you. And is that they had to name Darkseid and they named him Yuxas, which is like the stupidest. They did this stupid origin story for Darkseid and it was so dumb. And yeah, so he's like, this is your part. He's like, relish it. You are a key player in the universe. And this is where he explains it. And he says, I am telling you, you need to listen to feel these words. Everything has a balance to it in our reality. It may be complex in many wondrous and terrifying ways, but there's also a raw simplicity to it. For at its core is life, a force that expands, multiplies against all odds. Life emerges from the dark and races onward. It is hope. And if there is a being who embodies that hope, that energy, it is Superman. So that's like the good energy. That's who their spokesperson is for that. And he's saying, but there is an opposing force to all of that, a constraint, control, and that is you. In a way, you are the true source wall that holds all it back. So if you read Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Death Metal, you know about the source wall and what is behind the source wall. And we found out it's fucking Perpetua, which was stupid. But that was always a big thing in DC. What is beyond the source wall?
Yeah.
And he said, it's why you have no double in the multiverse. Yuxas, you are an essential force. You are primal. And basically just tells him, like, you're only one. You are one of one. And it says, long ago when life consolidated, so were you. But as life expanded, aspects of you, your energy were channeled to every world to hold back life, to challenge it. So that's what I meant by like malevolence and stuff like that. Well, this physical representation of Darkseid might be on Apocalypse. Throughout the whole multiverse, that his chronal energy is there, and that's what
pieces of them everywhere. Yep.
keeps like life in the DC multiverse in check. That's like the thing that keeps it in check. And he said when the multiverse expanded into an omniverse, those aspects, God damn it, sorry,
Freaking life. That's okay.
I know, right? Said those aspects were scattered further, making your physical being less than what is the diminishment you have felt, but it is natural. So that's why they didn't use Darkseid a lot, and they had to use like Perpetua, and they had to use the Batman who laughs and those type of things. Because whenever those universes and multiverses exist, and his energy is spread thin. But now that it's only one, imagine how strong he's going to be. That's why I said they built up very well Darkseid being a badass. Like him in this universe now, if they go there like our heroes go to like where Booster Gold was, they're going to get their ass kicked. He's going to totally destroy all of them because he has almost all of his power. There is only one other universe taking a small part of his power away from him. Now that he's there, he has the most power that he's ever been, ever. Because it's not spread out through the multiverse, omniverse, or whatever.
Good Lord, an omniverse. Good Lord. Are they ever going to stop this multiverse stuff?
Dude, it got so bad for a while there, dude. He says, right now, there is only you. All your power gathered into you, untapped. You vibrate with it. You can sense it, if not access it. But what you need to do is be patient because the multiverse will come back. The omniverse, too. And as it does, your power will funnel into those worlds again. You will not feel this restless, this explosive. So the power that he was feeling was Barry cutting off the multiverse. He got so much more power because it's not being spread out through all of these universes. So he wanted to know what it was. And basically, he's like, this is your role, Darkseid. It is an honor, divine, essential. And he says, what if I want more? And he's like, you can't get more because literally for there to be more, it would just be you. And that's what he wants. So they're setting up the most powerful Darkseid that we've ever had to encounter is going to be like the big end boss. Does that make more sense now? Like, so that's pretty much what they're setting up. And it's like, that's why they showed in those panels where he was talking to them. You see all those like planets and stuff like that. And you see like power leaving them.
I'll say though, the art didn't complement how cool the story was in that. And I think that's why the Omega part's a little lackluster is because the art
it is.
Didn't 100% how. Imagine if they got the Night Terrors artist on that part of the book.
Or just imagine if they just had Dan Mora do it since he did the inserts. Imagine if he did that. Imagine how awesome it would have been. It would have been great.
Yeah.
But instead we get panels like this.
Oof,
what the fuck is that, dude?
So ugly. Oh God. So there were some parts that looked okay. There were some parts that looked very bad, honestly. And keep in mind, this is supposed to be the big fucking special #1 one-shot comic book to launch like this new initiative. Luckily, people liked it, but goddamn, that could have been very bad.
Luckily, they took things that happened in the DC universe for a very long time, and they accentuated it and they explained. Like I said, that was cool how they kind of explained why Darkseid and in certain comics, like it would last for 3 issues and they would beat him. In other ones, it lasted like how Final Crisis was, where, you know, he had to come back from being a baby. And for some reason, nobody knew that Club Darkseid was Darkseid. That was the dumbest shit ever, dude. It was fucking Club Darkseid. Who'd you think was there? You know, so I thought it was told very well. I thought the story was told very well. I just wish, like we said, the Omega side had the art to back up the story.
I did enjoy the first half. It was very, very good. Overall, this is not bad. This is a very good book in general. It's just, it has the same level of Michael Bay craziness that Absolute Power did. It's a lot more cohesive and it's a lot more tightly put together than Absolute Power was to a certain extent. Now, to be fair, the pacing on this is really weird. Like the Darkseid one was paced so slow. I was like, we can speed this up here. He's just in his mind here. Who thinks this long about anything? Well, probably Darkseid would. But all right, I'll ask you your closing thoughts and opinions on the DC All-In #1 special.
I thought that the story was done really cool, really
Mhm.
well. I liked Darkseid going through and us seeing some of the major villains we have not seen in a while. They brought the quintessence out, which is always hilarious to me, because that was like in, what was it, Frontier or whatever that one was, where they offered it to Wonder Woman and she turned it down. I thought that was cool, and I thought that this set up, in my opinion, the multiverse, the absolute universe, pretty good. I thought it did it pretty well. Right now, what came from that is kind of weird, because the only thing we saw in this book, like they said, was, Darkseid, his version of Earth, which Booster Gold was stuck in. Now, at the last 3 pages, they showed, like, the versions of these heroes will be, instead of being born on Themyscira and being raised the right way, she's born in hell. So it's a different Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
This Batman will be this, and this Superman will be this. So it was only 1 page per thing.
That's
So
the biggest problem that I have for my closing thoughts was, this is supposed to be essentially a launching #1 special one-shot comic book for the Absolute Universe. And you get no previews of Absolute Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman, even though that was the point of making this.
Right. I think
the universe creation part was fine.
Well,
that was there.
I think that they should never have said that, because this should have been what it was, just setting up how the universe was created.
Yeah.
And then you go, this is what it is, and then here's what is going to be after it.
Yeah.
If they would have just said that, that would have been fine. But they did. They kept saying that this is previewing what's to come.
Yeah.
And when you only have 1 page and
ads,
like a tiny dialogue, for it, there were more ads in the book than there was showing us what the hell the freaking universe
all
was
the
gonna
extra
be.
ad pages could have been used to give you at least a 1-page preview of Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman and Absolute Wonder Woman. What in the world? So like, outside of the weird misleading stuff, which made no sense, even though we talked earlier about the whole jumping on points, which can be kind of a weird thing for a lot of people. Overall, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. Yeah. It's not a bad book to buy and read. It's just, if you're looking to get this for the previews of Absolute Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, that's not there.
No, it's definitely good to read to understand the universes, the two Earths. I will say that I thought Ultimate Invasion, while a way slower read, set up the universes way better, because we knew going from Ultimate Invasion to the one-shot, like, this is what it is, because they explained it thoroughly.
He did a lot.
Thoroughly explained it. And like I said, when you go read Ultimate Spider-Man, you already have all of that knowledge. So while it might have been a sludge to work through reading that, it makes the Ultimate Spider-Man book that much better. Because everything that happens, you're like, oh yeah, that's why it's happening. That's because he did this.
And you understand where that council came from because you read Ultimate Invasion. Yep.
Because you read, right. And you understand, like, oh, Peter Parker's 30 years old and doesn't have it because they took away his ability to have. That's why the meeting with Iron Man and him opening that box was so important.
Right.
Like those things. Where this, they told you a bunch of stuff. They didn't show you the outcome. Yeah. They just told you.
It was more
showed you what Darkseid did. Yeah. And then you have to take into consideration, okay, that's how we get Ultimate Batman, Wonder Woman, and
I should have known too. If there's going to be no mega anything, it's going to be Darkseid focused to that extent, honestly.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions about the DC All-In #1 special comic book. It's a fine, good book. It's just, now it's hard to judge, like, which one led into the Ultimate Universe better for DC and Marvel.
I think Ultimate Invasion did.
I think,
it's a slug to read through. Like I said, it's there's a lot there, but it makes what you read afterwards pay off so much, because when you have say like a Bible to work with and all that information, right? You can make like all the people that are on those books, like Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men, they can use that as a major reference.
Yeah.
They only have so many pages to reference in the Ultimate books. You know what I mean? Like, it's good that Scott Snyder was writing most of it, because he's writing, but
Absolute Batman.
Jason Aaron didn't have any input in this, and I keep forgetting her
Kelly
name.
Thompson.
Kelly Thompson didn't have any input on this, so it's like a little bit hard to, you know.
Yeah, you're right. This was all
for
Joshua Williamson and Scott
and
Snyder, who are
Scott Snyder.
both talented in their own
Great.
ways.
So
Yeah.
they're great.
What I would have did with this, I would have did all in number one. That's the way they have it, but make it fully the
Like
first universe.
3 issues.
Yeah, or at least you do 3 issues. The first 2 issues being the first universe and the Justice League and getting that back set up, and then having issue 3 being everything set up with the Absolute Universe, basically teasing at the end of issue 2. Because they're cramming so much stuff into this
Right.
guy.
If they would have had the
crazy.
first one be like a little bit more of what we saw with the Justice League, the
Right.
second book being the Dark Side book, and then the third, it just shows up, you're on a world, you don't know where you're at, and then you see something happen and Batman swings by, and it's a different Batman, you know? And then like they skip over to like Superman, and you're like, holy shit. So you get to see these characters, and then it was like next to be continued in Absolute Batman #1, Absolute Superman #1, you know? That would have been cool. And it's like the comparative to the Ultimate Invasion, because there was so much there, they have so much more to work with.
Well, wow, DC, you are completely blowing my mind. Is it in a good way? Is it in the way that's what my wife does to make me all over her face? I don't actually moan like that. That would be very, very gay. But all jokes aside, DC, keep making these Michael Bay books. You're just blowing my mind. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they are entertaining. I will give them that. They are very entertaining. You're reading this going, holy shit, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah,
So
I still had fun reading it, which is
that's the
what
thing. I had
comics
fun
are
reading
supposed
these.
to be.
Absolute Ultimate Invasion, I will say it's better payoff, slug to read. This one is a entertaining read. The multiverse, the event style was just not put. It was put together in a way that was very, not say rushed, very like action movie ish. Like you're just seeing so much stuff happen at once. You're just trying to accept it all. In your brain.
And that's not, you know, and that's no slight against anybody who's been reading DC for a little bit. But if you haven't been reading it like I have for so many years, that you know their style and what they're doing, you know what I mean? And how many times did I go, whatever, you know, like, and I can understand that completely. I could. If someone just picked this up and read this, could you imagine if they had no
that might actually be better. It might actually be way better.
I don't know, dude. I don't know, because they're going to be reading this, seeing Darkseid. Well, why is he important? And then they finally read all that stuff, and they're like, oh. And then they go read Absolute Batman. Well, why is there no Darkseid? I thought he was like the whole reason why this thing is here. Where is he? Why haven't they mentioned him at all?
I need to send this to Tiny, and I want to see her mind completely blown by reading this. She's like, what the hell is DC doing? Yeah, literally, if you pick this up and you know something about DC, like as far as movies and animation and television, all that stuff, you're probably going to go like, what the fuck? So yeah, it'd be very jarring. Keep in mind, I understand why this sold very well. And keep in mind, guys, this didn't sell very well for the story they were telling. This sold very well because this is built as you have to read this to understand the formation of the Absolute Universe. You know, because keep in mind, after this is only just a one-shot, people weren't buying this anymore. You don't need to, you know. But you can use this as a jumping-on reference point to Justice League Unlimited and to all the books that they had as a jumping-on point. So, yeah. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're signing out, guys. See you guys later. Peace.